How's it hanging, dudes? My name is Sean, and welcome back to Humanity First and another presidential 2020 election video. That's right. Today's not Yang isn't going to be the focus, because I do think it's time to start, showing the other candidates for their true colors and who they really are. Right. There's been a little bit of exposed campaign corruption from Mayor Pete, and I feel like if we point to these examples of how these mainstream establishment candidates are literally skewing the vote so they can win, maybe that'll put, a lot of their supporters, in the right mindset. Maybe we'll be able to yang a few over. You know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and do that today. Yes, Pete just got exposed for campaign corruption for forging, falsifying, and faking support from black community leaders. I think in Iowa, right? Yeah. So they weren't having any of it, man. And the clip from The Hill, shout out to The Hill, The Rising, this team, they're actually doing pretty good as far as both sides of the aisle reporting. They're not necessarily unbiased, but they do call it for what it is, and they don't really just play into establishment's viewpoints constantly, like MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News, so on and so forth, right? So shout out to them. Let's go ahead and play the clip, and let's see exactly what happened with Pete Boot.
South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg might be having a media moment as his Iowa poll numbers surge, but he's still not making any gains with African-American voters. His team's solution to boost his numbers: the Douglas Plan, a comprehensive investment in the empowerment of Black America. The sweeping plan includes criminal justice, education, healthcare, and other proposals. When Buttigieg announced that plan, he touted the endorsements of 400 South Carolinians, including 3 very prominent African-American supporters.
But friend of the show, Ryan Grimm, has discovered that many of those people didn't actually endorse the Douglas Plan. In fact, one person whose name was on the list of endorsements remarked she was, quote, alarmed and very much surprised. Here to explain more is Ryan himself. He's a Washington Bureau of the Intercept and friend of the show. Welcome back, Ryan. It's great to see you.
It's good to be here.
Okay, Ryan, take it out from the top. It sounds a little complicated, convoluted, but it's actually quite simple. So He has this plan. He puts 3 people's name on that endorsement. Those 3 people say, well, we had nothing to do with this plan. We don't even support it.
Yeah, so there's 3 people that are listed as the top supporters, kind of like authors of an open letter about how great this plan is. And then below it is a list of 400 South Carolinians who are also supporters. And I noticed that the original plan was rolled out with 3 prominent supporters. And then if you find the plan online now, there's only 2 prominent supporters.
What's going on here?
What happened here?
Yeah.
So I called the 3 prominent supporters. Tamika Devine is a councilwoman from Columbia, South Carolina, and she said, boy, as soon as that came out, everybody started calling me saying, did you endorse Mayor Pete? And I was like, no. I was very clear with the campaign. I'm not endorsing Mayor Pete. I'm okay to endorse this plan because I think it's a good thing that we talk about issues like this. But I think they were intentionally vague in trying to make it look like I was endorsing Pete himself. She was the best one for the campaign. The other 2 said, I did not endorse that plan. And I told the campaign that I'm not endorsing that plan, and they put my name on it anyway.
All right, so I just need to pause for a second and interject something here. So what this guy is saying is all it took was a couple of phone calls to expose Pete's dirty tricks. That's all it took. He's not really trying to hide it that well, is he? I mean, and look, if Pete will do this early on, in the game, I wonder what he would do once he becomes president, right? Or I wonder how he and the DNC would cheat other candidates out if he became the nominee, right? Just kind of like how Hillary and the DNC did. So you gotta look out for that. And it might not necessarily be illegal, Obama did a lot of the same stuff, but it might necessarily be illegal, but it's definitely immoral. It's definitely not ethical. And the only reason why it's not illegal is because, we've legalized corruption and bribery in this country. Otherwise, it would be, right? So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe in defense of Pete, he probably didn't just make the call to fake the support himself, right? But you hired the snakes, man. You are just as to blame. If you're not vetting who is on your campaign staff, and those people are making those types of judgment calls to skew and mislead and manipulate, especially at this time where Pete has like zero of the black vote. He has zero black community support. So, I mean, people like Andrew Yang, who has less, who overall has less black support, still has more than Mayor Pete, especially after this now. Be expecting his polls to drop a little bit if this story gets picked up. Of course, the establishment isn't really going to pick it up because Mayor Pete, you know, they might need him in their pocket, so they're not going to smear him. But if something like that was to happen with Bernie Sanders or Andrew Yang or Tulsi Gabbard, it'd be mainstream news all day long. Twice a day, 3 times a day, and how corrupt they are, right? But no, of course, not the establishment golden boys. Of course not. All right, let's continue.
How does that even happen?
What is the campaign's response? What did they tell you?
So the campaign, after the story went up, they sent an email that they had sent to all 400 plus people who had signed it that said, thank you for endorsing the plan. It's going to be announced tomorrow in the newspaper. If you don't want to be on the list, let us know by 4 p.m.
So you had to opt out. Otherwise, they just assumed that you endorsed.
These are the terms of service.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
That you must opt. So it's like, Obama, if you don't say anything in the next hour, you're endorsing me.
Right.
Well, Obama
he didn't get back to us.
He blinked.
No, must be an endorsement.
Now, so there are 2 pieces of this.
Joe Biden should try that one.
One is the top 3 endorsers who are not endorsers, but the other is the 400. And I also started looking closely at this list because the implication was strongly that these were prominent black South Carolinians. Washington Post reported as hundreds of prominent black South Carolinians. Wow. But in South Carolina, you have to register your race, or you can register your race when you register to vote, because of course South Carolina loves to suppress the vote. So they like to know who's black so they can suppress their vote. And so you run this list of supporters through the voter file, and about half of them are white folks. So when I went to the campaign, I said, half these folks backing the Frederick Douglass plan for Black America are white folks. And they said, well, we want a multiracial coalition.
Okay.
So
implement the plan. I said, okay, that's fine. Yeah. But the email that they sent to the supporters says, you're joining a list of 400 black South Carolinians. Wow. Half the people that got that email were white people.
Right? Like so it's me and 400 black people.
400 of my best
Not
black
only
friends.
did the 3 most prominent people don't endorse the plan, or one endorses the plan, won't endorse Buttigieg. The other 2 don't endorse the plan or Buttigieg. And then the hundreds of people who were listed and were told they were joining black South Carolinians, half of them are white. Right. So this is a completely manufactured thing by the Buttigieg campaign.
Right, and these are prominent people.
Yeah.
One is Johnny Cordero, who is the Democratic Party's chairman of the state's Black Caucus.
Right.
And the other is Representative Ivory Thigpen, who's a state representative, well-known pastor in the state, and is the co-chair of the state's Sanders for President operation. And he told them that. He's like, I'm publicly supporting Bernie Sanders for president.
Yeah.
And then he sees this thing. It's like, what?
Well, what does this say about the sort of organization or inexperience of the campaign?
I don't know. I mean, it's a real barreling forward. At best,
it's very aggressive.
If I were the campaign, I'd have said, I'm sorry for the miscommunication.
Right.
It was a huge mistake. Instead, the campaign has said, well, we gave them a chance to opt out.
Right. That's outrageous.
Which is kind of like a doubling down, which is strange. It's hard to know what to make of the strategy here, because without winning South Carolina in the first 4, without getting above 0% in the black vote, it's impossible to see how you have a path to the nomination.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing, Ryan. It just seems that they have a lot of money. They have people who are working for them who know what they're doing. The ham-handed approach to this seems clear, that they're so desperate to clear up the media narrative that they're doing terribly with black voters, and they just can't seem to change that. I mean, this is real example of, you don't do this unless you're desperate. You need those names, right? You need to, that Washington Post article, hundreds, and now it's all blown up in their face.
Right. If somebody tells you they're not endorsing the plan, like, they're gonna see it.
Yeah, right.
And it's been 3 weeks and they hadn't gotten hammered for it yet. And Cordero, for instance, told me I wasn't going to make a stink of it publicly because I'm trying to stay neutral and I didn't want to look like I was coming after him. But you called me, so I'm going to tell you.
I'm going to answer honestly. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about another happening related to South Carolina that you may have an opinion on. Deval Patrick has been recruited into the race by, panicked Democratic elites who, can't imagine that Democratic primary voters actually like the candidates that they have have on option. And there's a big piece in Politico, which is very predictable, that they're saying, well, the path runs through South Carolina. The idea being that Deval Patrick is African American. Lots of African Americans vote in the South Carolina primary, so he could attract their support. Do you find that plausible?
If he got Obama's endorsement, that changes the game.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, and maybe he should tell Obama that if he doesn't hear back from him,
by 4 p.m.
it's going to endorse him. This goes back to, so, he was first elected in 2006 in Massachusetts and then reelected in 2010, so he's been out of office since 2014. If from 2014 on he had done public service work, I think he'd be waltzing into the White House right now.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He went to Bain Capital.
Got paid.
Which some of the work that he's done for Bain Capital has been okay. A lot of the other work that he's done has been for pharmaceutical companies, responsible for soaring drug prices. Bain has made billions and billions of dollars by hollowing out the middle class of the United States. If he had done anything else, I think this could be his to lose. But I don't know how you take that record into a Democratic primary. And we haven't even talked about him pushing what did he do? He fired the head of the sex registry in Massachusetts because his brother-in-law was being forced to register.
Who later raped somebody.
Who
was later
raped his wife.
Yeah.
How do you get past that?
All right, guys, isn't that insane? I mean, I think that's kind of the best way we can help Yang out. In addition to making the meme format types of videos, stuff like that, which seem to get a really good amount of traction for Yang. I think that exposing these people and showcasing them, instead of me just finding another Yang topic to cover right now, which I could, because he met his campaign funding. He's got new ads out. There's all kinds of stuff going on. He's been on a few different interviews, But I do think that making this type of content would support Yang just as much, because people on our side, the subscriber base here at Humanity First, would actually get to see just how corrupt they are, and that way it doesn't get, because of course the establishment's not going to pick this story up. They're not going to run with this story. If you do, it'll be on the ticker roll at the bottom of a CNN, late night something, you know what I mean? It's not going to happen. Pete's too easily corruptible for the establishment, and they don't want to jeopardize maybe having him. You know what I mean? He's definitely their fallback after Warren, for sure. Yeah. So I hope you guys do, like this video and share it so we can get the views up on this video, not for me, but so we can show the world, or at least a small portion of the world, what some of these front runners are up to, some of the dirty, underhanded tactics they are. While people like Andrew Yang is running a squeaky clean campaign and actually doing it for the people, and trying to make, America great again. I hate to say that, but you know what I mean? He's definitely trying to make America think harder, that's for sure. So that's what I want to do. I want to make America think harder today. Look at Pete's campaign. Corrupt Pete, you know what I mean? It's Lion Pete. I don't know what we're gonna call this guy. You know what I'm saying? It's bad, man. And I don't think he's really gonna come out and say too much about that. But he may have just sunk his own black vote. Now, if I was Andrew Yang, I would take note of this. I would bring that up whenever he can, especially in debates, and that would really help. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just think that it's pretty underhanded. Pete's already opening so many offices in Iowa, spending so much money. Do you really have to lie? Or is that you know what I mean? If you're doing this early on, how many times are you going to lie throughout the campaign, throughout the primaries, even in the general, if you get there, Mr. Pete? You know what I'm saying? How in the world are you going to rectify that? And they want to use some sort of little, they had so much time to call us to say that they didn't support. If they don't tell you that they support it, then you don't get to put it down that they support it. You know what I mean? It's as black and white. So shady, underhanded stuff. And before we get too far into the video, I just wanted to take a moment and say that the entries for the merge competition has, it's reached its limit. All the entries are in. I think we got 3, 4, or 5. Not a lot, but enough for you guys to make a vote out of, right? So go ahead and head over to that. Vote for what your favorite is. The top 2 will be actual merch. Those of you who entered will get free merch and a promo code. The one person who loses still gets a pretty hefty promo code. And all of those, all of you who even enjoyed just the merch competition, seeing the merch, or anybody who's part of the channel will also get another promo code. It's a little bit less of a promo code than what the creators are getting, but go ahead and check that out. I think you guys will like that. But if you guys want to check out some of this merch, don't forget that a portion of each transaction does go to Yang. Of course, I had some art made, had it commissioned, so I've got to make my money back on that first, and then all the rest, or the majority of, will go straight to Yang. And hopefully we can save that up, and for his next campaign goal, kind of just throw that out there, put that on a live stream or something like that. Have some fun one day. I also been thinking about doing some live stream debates. I didn't get a video up yesterday because we was trying to figure out the webcam or the camera and trying to get that all set up and stuff like that. So it's still taking a little bit of time. But yeah, guys, we're going to get some webcam stuff going on. I think you guys will like that. Don't forget, there is the merch competition is over with, but you can pick the winners of the merch competition. So that takes you guys. So go over there to the community post. Go ahead and do that. Pick your favorite. And there are these few here. We got the one. I like this one. It's pretty cool. And we also have, remember, a futurist. He was on our channel a while back, and he decided to put his channel icon in there as a shirt. So if you guys like that, you can go ahead and vote for that too. Otherwise, it doesn't really have much to do with the channel, but it's still kind of cool. I like the fact that he offered to throw something in there because they didn't really have that many people. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Other than that, guys, if you're still creating a merch and you haven't had a chance to quite get it done, you can still send it to me. If it's still good enough, we can still use it, and I'm sure I'll be able to give you a creator code or something or a promo code, something like that. So that's pretty much all we got going on for the channel today, guys. I know it's not a Yang video, but I think this is just as important to call out these other candidates, because people are trying to smear Yang left and right, and there's actual people out there doing actual shady, underhanded stuff, and nobody's gonna cover that except for few people who are anti-establishment. And I'm kind of waiting for the Hills funding for that little channel to get just annihilated, because they're actually covering some really good stuff. Other than that, guys, I appreciate you. I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow.